Alex, a busy and really important month for Stoke this month. There's loads of matches, but having had 2 back-to-back wins and solid performances, that really must give the team confidence for what will be a difficult game at Luton.
Yeah, I think that obviously we spoke about the importance of winning games at home, so it's nice to win 2 games at home, score 7 goals, only concede 1, which we're disappointed with because it was a poor goal for us to concede. But yeah, I think the lads are in a good space. I think that we've added some players for competition as well, which is good. And yeah, I'm happy with where, like, sort of mentally, how focused we look, how determined we look at the moment. So yeah, it's good.
One of the things is that the midfield seems to be that bit higher up and taking the transitions better. Is that just as a matter of confidence, or have you worked on it?
Well, we're working on a lot of things. I mean, I wouldn't specifically put it down to just that. I think that we've sort of tinkered with a couple of little things. Maybe not risking the ball for the back as much when there's unnecessary to do so. Maybe putting the ball forward a little bit quicker. I think that naturally when you add some players to your squad, what happens is even the players in the building find that extra couple of % that maybe they hadn't done, because they know that obviously they're looking over their shoulder, they see lads coming in the building, they're going to give them competition and potentially get into the team. So I think when all that happens, I think that it makes for a good sort of really competitive edge in and about the place, even in training. The standard of training yesterday was excellent. So yeah, I think, and also we haven't had everybody fit at the same time, and I haven't really spoke about that because I don't want anything to sound like excuses, do you know what I mean? But as any team will tell you, if you've got key players fit at the same time, it gives you the best chance of being successful because you want to try and get them on the pitch at the same time, and it makes you stronger. So I think the fact that we've got Dwight back, who'd been missing for quite a few matches, and some of the other lads back as well, Dijon Sterling, Josh Laurent, a lot of these boys haven't played a lot of games for us, and when they're in the team, I think we're certainly stronger.
Luton have got that consistency that everybody craves in this division. They were in the top 6 last season, they're in the top 6 again. They're going to be quite a formidable team, even though, excuse me, we beat them at home, and they've got a really good front too. How do you see this game panning out?
Equally as difficult. I think it will be defined by moments in the game in terms of who can hurt who most when opportunities arise. I think that they're particularly strong at home. I think the surroundings and Kenilworth Road and the backing that the fans give them there, I think makes it a difficult venue to go to. But I think what they have got is, if you look at that team, the large parts of that team have been together now for 3, 4, 5 years. There's a lot of names there that you could rhyme off that have been there for a significant amount of time. I think the boy in Panza's been there like 8 years or something like that. It's quite a long time. Tom Lockyer's been there a while. Potts has been there a while. The boy Clark they took for Accrington's been there for a few seasons. I mean, Cornick, who's just moved on, had been there for a number of years. So I think when you've got that sort of spine that's settled and played together, it's a great sort of basis to then go and build a team on.
You always have a go at me for not being positive, so here's a positive stat for you. We've won 5 of our last 6 at Luton.
Right, okay.
So
no pressure?
No pressure, no. The transfer window, was it as stressful for you as it was for the fans watching?
Yeah, listen, the transfer window's always difficult because, like, obviously I come in here every week and you ask me questions and there's only so much I can tell you, and I try and be as honest as I possibly can, so in regards to the Harry situation, when you're asking me all the way along the window, are we getting offers, are we speaking to this club, are we speaking to that club, everything I told you was true. The first time we got a phone call about Harry from Leicester was on Monday morning, and the window shuts on Tuesday night. Harry's deal, the ink on it in terms of getting it signed off and getting it finished, happened at 9:30 on Tuesday evening. So when you're looking about it and people are writing, well, what's your plan, what have you got next, how are you going to... It's extremely difficult when somebody waits to that long, and what happens is when you're at the start of the window, by the time you hit the 10th of January, you've lost 2 targets because you can't get them, because at that point obviously we need to make sure we fall within the FFP rules, and then when that happens with the 2 days to go, yeah, there's a hell of a lot of work going into the 2 days.
I've just got a vision of you running around the building trying to get away with the contract that Harry might have signed, but I'm sure that wasn't the case. So you get in Pearson and Twanzebe. Are they both fit to play? There's a lot of discussions about Twanzebe's fitness.
Well, Twanzebe done the full session yesterday. We've had discussions with Manchester United. He's not fully ready to participate and play right now. But the fact that he's done the full session yesterday, which he'd have covered, over 6 kilometres yesterday, comfortably, gives me real optimism in terms of where he currently is at the moment. And I think it's just exposure to game time really that he needs. But we've got a plan for him in terms of getting him ready to play. Ben Pearson, unfortunately, has got a little niggle, but we knew that when we took him. But the difficulty you've got with guys like Axel and Ben is the fact that at the start of the window and the start of January, they guys are not available. Do you know what I mean? So only really once you get to the end of the window does that calibre of player become available, because most teams want to keep them in, or if you do go in for them at the start of the window, really you can't afford to take them. I mean, it really is as simple as that.
But you've worked with Ben Pearson before. What qualities will he bring when he's fit to the Stoke team?
Yeah, I think Ben's a player which arguably Stoke have probably needed, since probably a sort of Glenn Whelan type in terms of patrolling in front of that back four, stopping attacks, being the first building phase when we're playing through him. He's got a nasty streak in him. He's the type of player that if you're a fan and he plays for your club, you love him. If he plays for somebody else, you really don't like him. And I love the type of players. He plays with an edge. He's got a real determination and will to win. And I think that'll certainly rub off on the rest of his teammates as well. And he's an excellent footballer. That's the bit that probably gets overlooked with Ben, because he's got his sort of ball of hair running about and he's sort of turning into people. So yeah, he's an excellent signing.
And how long will this evil, niggly player be out?
Well, we're hopeful that it shouldn't be too long. I think that we're talking potentially maybe 7 days, something like that. But yeah, it won't be long.
And we're back again with 7 loans when only 5 can be in the matchday squad. Have you got a plan to change that?
It's difficult. Ideally, within those last 2 days, we had a number of permanents. But the problem that you've got is when you're trying to get permanents done, the minute we start making a few phone calls, everybody knows that the money's going to be coming in. So players then sort of quadruple in price. Agents' demands quadruple in price. And what I'm very conscious of is the fact that ideally we would have got a few permanents across the line to avoid the situation we find ourselves at the moment. But the simple fact is I had a choice to make, whether we add loans to make sure that we're not short and we've got numbers and we've got guys that can come in and do a really good job for us, or we don't, which means if we pick up a couple of vital injuries, yeah, we've got problems at that point. So I think the only thing that I could have done was add the loans. Like I say, we pursued a few permanents that unfortunately didn't transpire for a variety of reasons. And as I said, I want to make sure that we're going to be the solution rather than sort of compounding to the problem. So what you don't want to do, you don't want to commit to something that's far too rich in a January window when people know that you need to get players in that are then going to be a problem for the next 2.5 seasons. Because if you can't then afford them at that point, or they take a huge chunk of your budget away or whatever, what I wanted to avoid is that we didn't kick anything down the road and leave ourselves with more issues. I think that we've resolved all the FFP issues in this January window. We've brought in some real high quality players. Yeah, we've got too many loans, so I understand that, but I'd rather have too many than not enough. And we make sure that come the summer, this club's in a really, really healthy position. And that for me, albeit it probably doesn't help me as much in the short term, but that's something that I'm willing to do to make sure that as a club we're in a far better position come the summer to do what we need to do.
DiMaggio Wright-Phillips, you've let go out on loan. Is that just purely to get more game time? Yeah,
DiMaggio needed to go and play. It's an area of the park in terms of whether it's a number 10 or whatever for the positions we play at the moment. We've got a lot of bodies in there. We've got Celina that can play in there, we've got Will Smallbone that can play in there, we've got Nick Powell that can play in there, Lewis has played in there as well in terms of Lewis Baker. So we've got a lot of guys that can do that role. It's not a position where with DiMaggio going out we're going to be short in. So I think for him, he didn't get enough minutes between the start of the season and now, and I think it's vitally important that he goes out and plays and shows everybody what he can do.
And when you look at players like Harry Souttar and Nathan Collins before you came here, going out, have learnt their trade mostly through our academy. How good is that for you in the future? Because presumably people will look at Stoke City's academy, the likes of Tesgall and Lowe coming through, and may want to pledge their future to Stoke by coming here early doors.
Yeah, and I think that's vitally important. You know, I think Harry and Nathan are slightly different in the fact that we did buy them. I mean, when I think they were 16, 17, so that is slightly different. I think certainly Harry, I know, had a couple of loans as well, getting them out and getting them minutes early doors, which is important. But yeah, I think that we want to make sure, like if you look at, for instance, Emre Tesgale at the moment, I mean, Emre Tesgale now has got a clear pathway to the first team. You know, and what people say is, oh, why are we not playing our younger players? But then when you don't sign a striker, they go, why are we not signing a striker? Well, if we sign a striker, then Emre Tesdale doesn't get any minutes. So I think what's important is we need to create a clear pathway for our best young players to come through and show us what they can do. And Emre at the moment now is one of 4 strikers, whereas prior to that he was one of 5, which makes it really hard for him to get any minutes. And at the same stage, we don't want to be developing other people's players rather than our own if we can help it. You know, particularly if we've got somebody who has quality within our own squad. So I think that's part of the bigger picture and what we want to try and do going forward. So like you suggested, I think it is a positive for any young players wanting to come and be attracted to Stoke, and the fact that you're not going to come here and we're going to clog it up too much for you, where you're never going to get any sort of airtime for it to show what you can do. So yeah.
Sod's Law says that now Harry Souttar's gone, there'll be more injuries in defence, because it always happens at this football club. So
that is really, really pessimistic. Come on, you're better than that.
Listen, I've told you I'm a Stoke fan. If you look at the squad, Connor Taylor, how's he injury-wise?
Connor Taylor's only going to be a few weeks, tops, so 2 to 3 week injury, so it's not particularly long. Obviously Axel's not going to be far away either in terms of getting game time. So I think once we get a full complement, I think we'll be in good shape. You know, Dijon Sterling's played the centre back before, Cian Hoover's played the centre back before. I'm not suggesting that's where we've signed them for, because it's not, but worst case scenario, we have got guys that can fill in those spaces. I think the good thing is we've got Saturday and then we've got another week to Saturday, so it gives them longer to get themselves ready and get themselves back. But there is going to be specific positions in everybody's squad across the league where you're going to be light at times across the season. That's just natural, because you can't account for picking up 2 injuries in the same spot. But equally, you can't carry 6 players just in case it happens, because if you did, you'd have a squad of 40. So yeah, we're aware of the situation. We'd rather they be fit and obviously available, but we just need to deal with the hand we've got at the moment. And I'm hopeful that if we can get through the next sort of week or so, we'll be in a good position.
And Nick Powell, how's he progressing?
Nick was on the grass yesterday with the squad. I would think Nick would hopefully train next week and potentially be available for the Hull game.
And Dwight Gale's back fully fit?
Dwight Gale's been doing all the sessions with the lads.
And Sam Clucas?
Sam Clucas was back in the grass yesterday. Sam will take longer though, because he's been out for a significant period of time, and we've got a plan of action in terms of when we reintroduce Sam back into the sort of squad and match days. So that'll certainly take longer. Given
that you're now out of the FFP situation that you've just said, that's music to every fan's ears. How important is it for you?
I think it's vitally important for everyone, you know, but I want to make one thing really, really clear. When I took this job, I understood all the dynamics. You know, John really painted the picture really clearly for me. I seen it as a challenge. I seen it as a long-term sort of get the club into a good sort of position in terms of health on and off the pitch, and build a team that's going to be capable of getting out this league. But from where we started, it was always going to take time, you know, because when you've obviously come down for the Premier League and you've built, because when you're in the Premier League for such a long period of time, i.e. 10 years, you naturally build a base that can cope with that level, and that cost base is considerably different than what the Championship looks like. So when you don't go up within the automatic 2-3 seasons, naturally that cost base, you need to do something about it, because it just weighs the club down, and what it does is it drains all the cash. And obviously with FFP rules, whether you agree with them, whether you don't, the rules that we need to abide by. So when you don't go up in the first 2 or 3 seasons, we need to then act accordingly, and that sometimes can be a little bit painful, because it's basically then having to downgrade, downsize, reduce wages, sell players. That's the natural cause of not getting back up within the first 2 or 3 seasons, the parachute payments.
And finally, from me, the cup draws kind of got lost with the transfer window. You happy with the home draw?
Yeah, I think that it certainly gives us the best chance. You know, I think going to Brighton's a difficult venue. They're a good team. They've just beat Liverpool sort of for 2 games running. So I think that shows you the calibre and the quality they've got. They've got people trying to buy their players for what, 70, 80 million pound. So we know it's going to be a tough match. There's no doubts about that. But I think it's a good one for us. I think it's one we can go and test ourselves.
Thank you. Good luck.